Okay, today my name is Sophia, and I'm going to be doing the satirical basis of modern television. Okay, so to start with, I think it's important to be familiar with just the basic concept of satire. So satire is the use of humor, irony, exaggeration, or ridicule to expose and criticize people's stupidity or vices. So here on the screen are 3 examples of satire in our media. On the left-hand side, far right, is an advertisement for against smoking. So in here they use satirical devices and irony to show a cancer symbol on the cigarettes, which irony is because smoking causes lung cancer. In the middle right here, there's a little cartoon image, and it shows taxpayers and taxpayers' future, whatever, pulling big government along. And the last example is Seth Meyers. He's on Saturday Night Live, and this is just a picture of him when he was doing a skit as a newscaster mocking Fox News. Okay, so the first clip I'm going to show you, well, as I've shown before, that satire is used in media throughout the media. But today I'm just going to be focusing on the political aspects of satire, in particular the Daily Show and the Colbert Show. So this first clip is going to be of the Daily Show, and it's going to be of Jon Stewart. He's talking about a recent protest that broke out because of the unarmed black men that were getting killed by white police officers. So here he discusses that particular protest.
You may have been noticing the justice system's recent consistent failure to indict police officers who have killed unarmed black men has sparked protests all over this country. The demonstrations have been overwhelmingly peaceful, which makes it very difficult for people to complain about. Difficult. Not impossible.
You have the right to protest, to go on the sidewalk and make noise and hold signs and let people know you disagree. But when you block traffic, that's a form of violence.
Yes! Thank you! Blocking traffic is a form of violence. How dare these marchers put our streets in some kind of, let's call it a chokehold of traffic. How dare they? Wouldn't have anything to do with the streets being black now, does it? You know, if you're that convinced that impeding Manhattan drivers is a form of violence, well, I think it's time to indict the New York Marathon, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, the Puerto Rican Day Parade, the Gay Pride Parade, the St. Patrick's Day Parade, the Halloween Parade, the German American Slogan Parade, or any random pop-up street fair selling mystery meat and tube socks. And I haven't even gotten to the most violent of offenders. Please. That tree is like a glittering Berlin Wall, preventing any movement from east to west. Mr. Claus, tear down that tree. But it's one thing for protesters to do violence to our city's streets and traffic. It is quite another for them to use excessive force against Christmas itself.
It is creating havoc, and we've got 2 weeks before Christmas. Do you think this is going to have some impact on, I mean, who wants to go shopping at Macy's when this is going on?
Protesters preventing people from shopping at Macy's. I hope these shoppers shall overcome. Yes, I can't buy. Yes, Black Friday matters, it does.
Okay, so in this clip you can see Jon Stewart. He's criticizing basically people's viewpoints on having negative viewpoints against these peaceful protests. He starts out the clip by making different analogies to the black streets and comparing them to the black men that were killed. He also does exaggeration, saying that if these protests are considered violent because they block traffic, then the parades and marathons and other large gatherings should be banned for the same purpose. He uses all these as a way to draw the audience in, these types of humorous, outrageous claims or ways to draw the attention to this topic. And lastly, he uses pathos to try to, the audience is kind of feeling pity and sorrow for the protesters more on their side than on the people that he's analyzed. The next clip I'm going to be talking about is the Colbert Report. And that next clip, he talks about the same general issue that the Daily Show talked about, but instead he focuses more on a particular issue in that topic. the Eric Garner decision, and he takes a slightly different viewpoint on the situation.
May have been noticed.
The next slide. Oh, sorry.
Folks, I come to you tonight from a city gripped by fear. Because for the past 24 hours, New York has been engulfed in a hellstorm of peaceful protest. Demonstrators have taken to the streets, halting New York traffic to a level that can only be described as New York traffic. And it's all because yesterday a Staten Island grand jury chose not to indict an NYPD officer who killed Eric Garner, an unarmed black man. And I have to admit, it is shocking that anyone in Manhattan has shown awareness of Staten Island. Folks, these protesters aren't just after the NYPD, they also targeted another institution.
Protests broke out just blocks away from Rockefeller Center last night, where thousands had gathered for the annual tree lighting Christmas ceremony.
They're now chanting, shut it down, Eric Garner, Michael Brown. And they tried to shut down the Rockefeller Christmas tree lighting.
That is shameful. I mean, thank God it wasn't the Rockefeller menorah, or this protest would go on for 8 more nights. Folks, I say, look, I know people are angry, but this is not the time for activists to turn Midtown sidewalks into a congested war zone. This is the time for tourists to do that. The nation, I know New York looks to me for leadership, so I'm calling for calm. Now, sure, you could view yet another non-indictment of a white police officer for the death of an unarmed black man as part of a larger troubling trend. Or you could be Fox News.
The officer is white, the victim was black. As you might expect, this incident is already drawing comparisons to the shooting death of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri.
There's a tendency that 3 examples creates a trend.
Statistics don't say there's a pattern. This is not about race discrimination, and I don't think it should be lumped together with any other trends that are going on. Well said. This is not, we're all, yes, I agree with you. I am angry at the idea this is a trend. It is not a trend. It's just a series of incidents that share common characteristics. For this to be an official trend, Taylor Swift would have to kill somebody. And Tay-Tay don't play that way. Of course, longtime viewers of The Last Few Minutes will know that I broke the story about racial tension in America. At least I assume I broke the story. Like you, I get all my news from the Colbert Report.
Okay, so from this clip you can see they're both talking about the same general issue, except the Colbert Report focuses more on the Eric Garner decision in general. You can also tell that the Colbert Show uses more satirical devices, it's more humorous, while as the Daily Show is more informative, more factual, and uses less satirical devices. Now here I just showed you a short clip. There's a longer video towards this, and you can see more of it. But in general, the Colbert Report, it appeals from his light humor and his wit. It draws a younger audience into watching his shows. Whereas the Daily Show has more, in general, they'll have interviews and it's more informative for an older audience. I know this from personal experience because my dad used to watch the Daily Show and I didn't really have any interest in watching them until the Colbert Report came on. And suddenly I was starting to watch them with my dad, and it became something where I could gain knowledge while still being entertained. So they both appeal to different audiences, but they both carry a same sort of tone and diction that they use to describe their topic. And they both are, even though it's a younger and it's an older audience, they both are kind of targeting the same general audience's ideals. And they both use visual graphics and current media events to draw their audience in. And lastly, they both take smaller clips of other media and they use them to belittle them and criticize them in order to make their argument stronger. Okay, so for media bias, for personalization, the Colbert Show definitely shows more personalization, at least in this instance. He focuses on the Eric Garner decision versus the whole entire protest like the Daily Show was doing. For dramatization, they both use that element of dramatization to tell the whole story of how what led the protesters to this situation. Fragmentation, they both also use that. They're showing only small clips of these people that they're criticizing. They're showing small clips, and they can take them completely out of context, and we wouldn't know because they're just flashing them at. So in this way, the newscasters can manipulate their audience and show a bias in that way. And lastly, most importantly, the authority disorder. Now, this is especially prevalent in the clips that I just showed you, where they're trying to indirectly manipulate their audience to having a sympathetic feeling towards the protesters and a negative feeling towards the judicial system and the cops that killed these black unarmed men. In conclusion, so satire can be used to criticize, to use a light way of criticizing or poking fun at a current event, but it can also be used to mislead the people, because how much do we know is actually true? We just watch these, and as a teen myself, I'm a busy teenager, and I'm only going to watch a show that's entertaining yet informative, but I'm only going to watch just that clip. I won't go back and verify these facts to see if they're true, because I'm just in for it for the 30 minutes. So I, like most hundreds of thousands of viewers, am just going to watch that one show, and I'm going to get my facts based on that. So the audience, or the shows like the Colbert Report and the Daily Show, have the power to manipulate us and have the power to broadcast facts that may be biased or taken out of context, but we as viewers, the majority, will not know the difference.